Greetings and welcome to the proposed prize list segment of the WinLABS tournament presentation. Before we move on to the next major phase of the tournament, where we will be entering scores from the first squad, we will be setting up a proposed prize list. WinLABS has a set of programs that will help you to create a prize list. The prize money can then be merged into your final standings, with ties being calculated in the process. Prior to the end of your tournament, WinLABS also allows you to estimate the number of entries in every division. We recommend that you utilize the prize calculator and get familiar with it long before your tournament is over. At a minimum, we will need to enter our payout ratio. For example, do you pay 1 in 5 or 1 in 8? Setting the ratio will allow the standings reports, which are run at the end of each squad, to list the lowest score that will collect a prize, commonly known as low to cash. You may not want to publicly post a proposed prize list. Because average changes and substitutions can move a team from one division to another, the number of entries in each division is subject to change. This is especially true for Division 1. Most tournament managers will enter an average of 220 for bowlers that do not provide one with their entry. This is a recommended procedure because it encourages the bowler to correct their average at check-in time. When they do correct it and report a lower average, their team's division will likely be affected. You may be able to post a proposed prize list if your entries are closed and you only have a single division tournament. In other words, the teams are fixed in their divisions. The prize calculator is part of every division. From the Define tab, click on the Setup. The Setup takes you to the Events tab. From there, click on the Divisions and Current Event tab. From the Divisions and Current Event tab, click on the Prizes button. What we see here is a divisional prize calculator for Team Division 1. If you recall, the division was set up with a $6.50 per person prize fee. The prize fee for a 5-person team is shown at $32.50. The second row shows the number of teams in the division at the time we open it. It currently shows 30 teams, however, as we indicated earlier, this number could change as the tournament progresses. Note also that if you just want to get familiar with the calculator, you can estimate the number of teams. You can run the formulas as often as you like. The third field displays the amount of money available for prizes. 30 teams paying $32.50 each gives us $975. If you clicked on the Use Estimate field and changed the number of teams to 100, you would see $3,250 here. The fourth field on the list, called Additional Cash from Sponsors, allows you to add cash to the overall prizes for the division. Any money added here would be dispersed evenly to the recipients along with the prize fee money. If a sponsor wanted to provide additional cash for first place, you would not enter it here. Instead, you would create a prize list using the prize fees alone and add the money to the first place after the list is established. The next field, called Less Cash for Special Prizes, is where you can deduct the cost of trophies or other special prizes. Remember that you are looking at a single division. You should not deduct all of the special prize money from one division only. The next field allows you to add cash as needed for last place ties. It is only applicable when the tournament is over and you are actually assigning the prize money to the final standings. The option allows you to give every team tied for last place the full amount designated. For example, you are paying 30 places and there are 3 teams tied for last place. If you are planning on giving $50 to 30th place, checking this box will add $100 to the prize list. All 3 teams would get $50. If you do not check the box, the 3 teams would split the $50 3 ways. The next field totals up all of the values previously added or subtracted, and the result is the amount that is available for distribution. The next field, called Less Cash Already in Prize List, is also not applicable for the proposed list. It acts as a monitor at the end of the tournament if you have already assigned money to the list and you are modifying it a second time. The last field shows the cash remaining. Normally all the money is assigned to the prize list when you run the wizard. If you are modifying the list of values already created, this field will let you know if you have gone over the amount of money available or if you've not utilized all of it. It is really handy if you decide to manually key the money into the list. The next area is the most important at this stage of your tournament. If your tournament rules indicate that you are paying using a ratio such as 1 in 5 or 1 in 6, you would click on the Use Payout Ratio button. You would then enter the value of the ratio in the next field. Our example tournament paid 1 in 6. As soon as the number 6 was entered into the ratio field, WinLABS created a prize list of 5 empty cells. That is because there were 30 teams in the division at the time. If you are not planning on posting a proposed prize list, you should still go on to each division of each event and enter the prize payout ratio. Doing so will allow the standings report, which is run periodically throughout the tournament, to show the score that represents load of cash. Creating a proposed prize list is fairly easy if you have some knowledge of what you want to do. We placed a check mark in the Use Estimate field because we are expecting about 20 more teams before the close of entries. WinLABS immediately added the cash that would be available if we had 50 teams in this division. It also added places to the prize list spreadsheet. We now have 8 places cashing. 1 in 6 with 50 teams equals 8. There are 4 values that WinLABS will utilize to create the list. The first item is cash for first place. This you will enter manually. If your tournament had a division with 50 teams in it last year, and you use the same payout ratio, your amount should be similar to what you used last year, unless you want to increase it or decrease it. The second value is the amount you want to pay second place. This also is entered manually. The third value is the amount you wish to give to last place. Many tournaments try to give the team their entry fee in return. In our example, as you can see, we have entered $500 for first place, $300 for second, and $85 for last place. The fourth value is called Overlay Cash for higher ranks. This is not as easy to explain. Maybe a picture would help. As you can see, on the sample prize list, the first and second places were assigned manually. Last place was also provided manually. Places 3 through about 9 or 10 were padded by the amount in the overlay. The overlay portion always starts with third place and will continue down to about 25 to 30% of your list. This padding also allows you to make the payout less linear. In other words, more money can go towards the top of the list, third, fourth, and fifth places. The overlay gets that money by taking it from those teams in the lower third of the list. The more money you place in the overlay field, the more that will get pushed towards the top. Here's a hint. If you created a prize list where third place is considerably less than second, try adding money to the overlay before you adjust second place downward. Back to our proposed prize list. Just to see what happens, we start by entering an amount that is approximately 30% of the cash available to distribute. We entered $550. All we have to do now is run the wizard to see what WinLABS will create for us. WinLABS was able to create a list with the amounts shown. Quite often it will provide a pop-up window advising you to add money to first place or add money to the overlay. You may have to try a few different values before you even get to see a list. Notice that last place received $86 instead of the $85 that we had entered. WinLABS utilizes the number entered to help with the formula. However, there will be times when the formula will give last place slightly more than requested. The list can always be modified by hand. Just highlight the field and change the value. As you just witnessed, the WinLABS prize calculator utilizes multiple components, including a formula for creating the prize list. The calculator is limited to prize lists that pay at least 6 places. Smaller prize lists can be entered by hand. If you're using a ratio, the number of cells in the spreadsheet will be automatically calculated. In this example, the system provided 5 places. You can always enter the prizes totally by hand. You can also modify a prize list that was created automatically. Here we are entering the prizes manually. As you enter the amounts, WinLABS will show the cash remaining as you exit each field. In the example above, we've entered 2 places totaling $600. WinLABS is showing that $375 is still remaining. After entering all of the values, the cash remaining should equal 0. Before we leave this screen, there's one more item for tournaments that do not use a payout ratio. If your tournament does not have an absolute ratio, you can use the option called Use Places Paid. Some tournaments like to round upward and pay one more place than WinLABS provides. For example, after clicking on the Use Places Paid option, you can change the number and WinLABS will automatically add a place to the spreadsheet. This concludes the module covering proposed prize lists.